2026 feels like it's going to be a two-team race to win the SEC this upcoming season. Texas and Georgia both boast the best squads coming into this year. And while both teams have opportunities to win the conference, I think Texas is finally going to get it done. Before I deliver to you my case for why I'm picking Texas as my futures pick to win the SEC this upcoming season, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel, hit the like button on this video, and comment below which team do you think is going to win the SEC this upcoming season. Let's talk about Texas, but I am going to get to two other teams that I think are worth paying attention to and putting tickets down for futures bets to win the SEC. I'm going with Texas at plus 330. They have the second best odds behind Georgia. We are not going to see Texas and Georgia square off during the regular season. And I think what's going to happen, it's going to be a lot like a couple of years ago, where Texas and Georgia have great seasons, they meet in the SEC championship game, and they square off. But this time, I think that Steve Sarkisian is capable of breaking through, beating Kirby Smart, and going to the college football playoff with a bye. This Texas squad is not perfect. It has questions that need to be answered. How is their linebacker room going to look without Anthony Hill? Can their offensive line improve dramatically from a year ago in which Arch Manning was sacked 23 times? Is Melvin Siani enough in order to improve that unit? Can Trevor Gooseby take a leap? Most importantly, are we going to get the Arch Manning that we saw at the end of the year? Or could the version that had a tough start to the season start to creep back in? I don't think that any of those problems are going to be big enough that it's going to hurt Texas's case for winning the SEC this year. I think that the most important reason why I'm buying in is because I really think that Arch is going to be phenomenal. I was a little early on Arch last year. I've been super bought in. I was bought in on the flashes from 2 seasons ago when he played a very few amount of times. He is so unbelievably gifted. And what we saw from him at the end of the season, where he was playing more freely, he was playing confidently, he had a reckless abandonment, which I think is great in a quarterback where you don't care about the consequences. You're just going out there to make big plays. He is going to take over. And it helps that he might have the best wide receiver duo in college football. It's a bit of a race right now, I would say, between them and Evan Stewart and DeCorian Moore over at Oregon. Ryan Wingo and Cam Coleman are such a unique 1-2 punch. Cam Coleman is a great big-bodied ex-receiver who's going to come down with the ball no matter where you put it. He is going to be the surefire guy that Arch Manning can count on and rely on. Meanwhile, Ryan Wingo, who's got drop problems, let's be real here, he doesn't need to be relied upon to catch everything. He can be that explosive deep threat. They can get him the ball on screens and let him take it to the house. That 1-2 punch of explosiveness and steadiness is going to make this receiving room incredibly dynamic. When you have a quarterback who is slinging it and willing to take shots to a tight window to Cam Coleman or over the top to Ryan Wingo as he's starting to separate, it's going to allow for this offense to take a new stride. At the end of the day, when this matchup theoretically happens, that I believe is going to happen between Georgia and Texas in a close game between two good football teams, I ultimately believe that ability to make big plays through the air is going to be the decider. I know that this Georgia team is going to be better defensively than a year ago. I expect their defensive line, their pass rush to be better than a year ago. And I expect that they're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to do all the things that they did from last season because they're bringing back a lot of key starters. They didn't lose much. But we saw in the Sugar Bowl the struggles that they had against a team with a dynamic athletic quarterback and explosive receivers. Trinidad Chambliss completely cooked them. I know it's going to be a different season, but I feel as though one thing keeps continuously being proven time and time again. When you have a supremely talented quarterback and you have really good receivers, a talented wide receiver tandem, it is really, really hard to defend that. So when this game gets down to the SEC championship game, I'm going with Texas. I think Texas is going to win this at plus 330. Now, the team that I'm taking as my sleeper, that if everything goes their way, that they could produce an unexpected run and shock everybody, get to the SEC championship game, potentially win it, I am taking Oklahoma at plus 950. This Oklahoma squad has the best defense in the conference. Now, I got to see what their offense looks like. I am optimistic that John Mateer bounces back because I thought that he was unjustifiably criticized for his performance because everybody was saying, well, his hands hurt, but it doesn't affect his decision-making. I think his confidence was shot. I think that he was in his head because he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get the ball where it needed to be because he couldn't grip the ball properly because of his messed up hand. I think Mateer's going to be better. I think the offensive line showed that it was improving with new young faces stepping into the fold. I hope the run game's better. I think that Isaiah Satania deserves more respect as a top receiver in the conference. Oklahoma with a really good defense and hopefully just at least a marginally better offense could shock everyone. If they beat Georgia in the beginning of the year, I am going to more aggressively back this Oklahoma team. If they're able to beat Georgia, I see a world where they produce a run, they win the SEC, and maybe they go on a run and win a national championship. Oklahoma keeps getting overlooked. They keep getting disrespected, and I feel like that we need to give them a lot more recognition. Now, the last team that I want to discuss here that has my attention, that is one of the biggest wild cards, frankly, and this is nothing to do with any biases or whatnot. I think LSU plus 900 is intriguing. I see the likely outcome that LSU is a team that is average, too many new faces. It's hard for a coach to put together a roster and for them to get through an entire season when you're trying to develop chemistry and culture. You're just bound to, in your first year as a head coach, drop a game that you're not supposed to. I know Curt Cignetti went undefeated, or not undefeated. He had a great season in his first year in Indiana, but he is an aberration. That is not regularity. Lane Kiffin has a lot of work to do. The reason why I'm bringing them up, though, he had Ole Miss in a position to go on a run in the college football playoff last year. This is the best roster that Lane Kiffin has ever had. He has a schedule that it is possible for them to maybe go 10-2, and if enough teams in the conference are also 10-2, maybe they sneak their way into the SEC championship game. Maybe they stun everybody. But I have this inkling of a belief that if they don't go like 8-4 and have a season where it feels like that they left some things on the table because they're going through the growing pains, I see them breaking through and having a great season and going 10-2 and defying everybody's expectations. Lane has not had a roster this talented front to back. More talented than the team that he had at Ole Miss last year that won the Sugar Bowl and went on to face Miami in the semifinal of the college football playoff. That team was really good, but if we're talking about roster, top to bottom talent on the team, this LSU team is more talented overall. I'm curious to see what happens this year in the SEC. It feels relatively unpredictable what will happen in the SEC this year. Comment below which team you think is going to win the SEC this season. Hit the like button on this video if you agree with me, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content.